Welcome.
How's it going, YouTube, and welcome back to the grid, and I'm your host Cardfight Grid, and today I have another $50 budget deck for you guys that you can actually use right now, and you can upgrade with the new set BT11. And this deck is very viable and still competitive. Just letting you guys know, I do not include taxes and I do not include shipping because those things can vary depending where you're at, and on top of that, prices do change, so keep that in mind. So even though I say the deck is this much right now, it could be $5 less tomorrow, $5 more, who knows. But this is as best I can give you guys the price of today. And for our level 2s, I'm going to go ahead and start us off with 4 Digimon, coming in at 20 cents each. He has an inherit skill that says if your opponent has 2 Digimon or more, when attacking you may draw a card. Now this is an awesome skill for this deck since it's going to be stunning a lot. And if you guys don't know what stunning means, it means that if you're using effects that make your opponent's Digimon not be able to block or attack until the end of their turn. So that's what I'm going to be saying by stunning. And we're going to start off with 4 of those, and then for our last Digi-Egg we're going to go ahead and use Upamon. And Upamon is going to have the inherit skill that's going to be if your opponent has no Digimon with de-evolution sources underneath it, then on attacking you may draw a card. And he's coming in at $4 each right now, so that's why we're only running 1. Keeping it budget. For our level 3s, we're going to be running 1 Syakomon. Syakomon is a Digimon that prevents your opponent from using reduction costs or reduction effects to reduce their Digimon's evolution costs. And he's coming in at 19 cents right now, so we're only running at 1. For our next level 3, we're running 2 copies of Jellymon. It's a level 3 with an effect that says on your turn, once per turn, when you play a blue tamer, you can go ahead and draw a card. It also has an inherit skill that says when an effect adds a card to your hand, return one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon to their hand. We don't have too many ways of removal, so yeah, it's a really nice card, and they're coming in at 4 cents a piece. And then our next level 3 is going to be Medoki Betamon. We're going to be running 3 copies of him, and he's coming in at 40 cents each. Medoki Betamon is just your generic memory blocker, stops your opponents from gaining memory from Digimon, from memory boosts, from option cards. Pretty solid card. And for our last level 3, we're going to be running 4 copies of Gaussmon. Now Gaussmon's our only Blueflare level 3 that we run, but it has an amazing effect that he has an on deletion effect that says when deleted you may play a level 4 Digimon with Blueflare and its traits onto the in play without paying its play cost suspended, which is an amazing effect for this deck. Trust me, I have gained so much advantage from this card because I've drawn from either 2 to 7 cards. I have searched the top 4 cards for certain pieces I need. I was able to play my tamer for free. It's just an amazing card, so that's what you run 4 of. Now when it comes to level 3s, you can mess around with these as you like. If your meta has more evolution reduction costs and in it, like your locals, then you can go ahead and switch the ratios between Medoki Betamon and Syakomon and vice versa depending on your meta. So remember, these are very flexible spots. For level 4s, all of them except for 1 has the effect save, where save says when your Digimon becomes deleted, you can go ahead and put it underneath one of your tamers instead of the drop. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that now so I don't have to say it for the rest of the level 4s. And for our level 4s, we're going to start off with 1 copy of Kumamon, which is 17 cents each right now. And he's our basic blue hybrid, alright? Yeah, just 2 memory to Digivolve on top of a tamer. And when he Digivolves, you can remove one of your opponent's de-evolution sources. I believe it's the bottom one. And yeah, so he actually does help with the game plan of the deck with stunning. And on top of that, he's a hybrid, so you can hybrid for game. Now, we don't run too many of him, even though there'll be certain games where you can set up a bunch of hybrids. But knowing that BT11 is around the corner and Black Warrior Greymon's gonna come out. We already know. Black Warrior Greymon X Antibody. Hades Force. That's the card that's gonna clear up all your tamers. So we don't wanna run too many hybrids because with the meta with a lot of tamer removal, hybrids are not too good. So it's always nice to have at least one just for that last swing for game. And we're also gonna be running 4 copies of Greymon. He's coming in at 25 cents each right now. He has an on-play skill that says you may reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, and then you may grab 2 cards with Blueflare in its traits, and I believe the Blueflare Tamer, which is Curia. Awesome skill, awesome card. He has an inherit skill that says on attack, if your opponent has 2 Digimon or more, you may, and this Digimon has Blueflare in its traits, you may unsuspend it. This card literally helps you finish off games, so we're running out of 4 of. It's a very good card. And then now our next card, we're going to be running 4 copies of metalgreymon, and he's going for 18 cents each right now. His skill is on play, you may play a Curia from your hand into play for free if you do not have one, but if you do already, you may grab a metalgreymon from your drop and add it to your hand. Amazing card. Literally, metalgreymon's your big boss monster in this deck, which is awesome, and he just does so much for the deck, so being able way to recycle him and to play your main tamer for free is essential in this deck. And he also has the inherit skill that lets you stun one of your opponent's Digimon as long as this Digimon has Blueflare in its traits, and it's a one attacking skill. So very awesome card, very solid. You have to run out of 4 of, man. You can't differentiate for that. It's too good. And then we also run 4 Digimon. That's coming in at 18 cents each, and on top of that, inherit skill says if your opponent has 2 more Digimon, this Digimon gets plus 1000 DP, which is an awesome nice little buff because there's not too many ways to buff your Digimon in this deck. But his on-play skill is amazing. This card's awesome. On play, you get to draw a card, and then you get to draw a card for each one of your opponent's Digimon in play. Now, that might not seem too good, just because what happens if I'm going against certain decks like Melga, or if you're going against like Grandis, anything that's like an OTK. Yeah, it doesn't sound too good, but if you go against decks like Bloom Lordmon, or Commandramon, or basically any deck that floods the board, you're going to hit some massive advantages. Or like Jesmon, if they let you live. Not even that, like before they even go into Jesmon all the way, they're going to be spamming out Huckmon and Sistermon, so you just gain value from all that. You're like, yeah, go ahead, keep on playing them. I'm going to just slap down these deckers and literally going to have a hand for whatever I need. So yeah, we run him as a playset, we have to. And that'll be it for our level 4s. And now for our level 5s, we have Digimon. Now Digimon can digivolve on top of a level 5 for 2 memory or a level 4 for 4 memory. And he has Armor Purge. He also has Digivolving and On Play. You get to add 1 Digimon from your tamer or from your hand and put it underneath him. And then if there's a Digimon underneath him, you can go ahead and stun one of your opponent's Digimon, which is an awesome skill. It's great. Stunning. And then the Armor Purge is also not too bad either. It's pretty nice. We run him as a 4 of, and then he's coming in at 18 cents each right now. And now for our main boss monster, our guy that finished off games, is metalgreymon. Now metalgreymon's coming in at $5.45 each. We run a playset of him. He is your most expensive card in this deck, because he's the best card in your deck. He's the reason why you win games, like defensively and offensively. He's just amazing. He does both. You reduce his on play cost by 2 for each. So if you have both, then you reduce his cost by 4 and he'll be a 3. And he also has rush, and he has on play. You can stun up to 3 of your opponent's Digimon that have equal or less evolution sources to him. So if your opponent has 3 Digimon out there with no de-evolution sources, they all get stunned. If they all have 2 or less, they still get stunned. If 2 of them have none but 1 has 3, you can stun those 2, but you can't stun the one that has 3 sources underneath it. But it's a very awesome card because you get to stun the whole board essentially, and you can be aggressive because he's going to have the metalgreymon and the Bergermon's inherit underneath him, so he's going to most likely be restanding, which is going to be an awesome turn for you. He's a mandatory for us. Also, metalgreymon has the effect save 2, which means when it becomes deleted, you can go ahead and save up to 2 of its Digi-Evolution sources, put them underneath one of your tamers. So it's a very awesome skill, so you can go ahead and reset for another metalgreymon. For our option cards, we're going to start off with 1, Ice Wall. So yeah, this is our broken card in our deck that's limited 1 in the ban list. Ice Wall has a play cost of 1, and it says all your opponent's Digimon gain the effect on attack, lose 2 memory. This card has saved me from games. It won me games. It's ridiculous. It has a security effect. I believe that you gain 2 memory. Card's dumb. That's why it's at 1. It's just ridiculous. It might not sound too good maybe right now to you if you're barely getting into the game, but trust me, it comes in clutch. And so we run it as a 1 of, and it's going for 50 cents each right now. And our next option card is Startling Thunder. It's coming in at 3 cents each, and we run it as a 2 of. It coincides with our Jellymon, so you may pay 4 memory to play this card, and you can return one of your opponent's level 4 lowers to their hand, or 4 lower Digimon to their hand. But if you have Jellymon on the field, in play, or underneath one of your Digimon's sources, you can basically return one of your opponent's tamers to their hand, which is really nice. So I'm not gonna lie, like if you're in a predicament situation where your opponent is playing purple, or your opponent's playing some sort of deck that they're discarding, you see them discarding all their tamers because, you know, they already have their set to 3 tamers, so they feel safe. Shoot that guy straight back to their hand. Make them waste their turn playing that guy down again. Take advantage of that opportunity. You might think like, well, I'm spending 4 memory to waste my turn, so they can just do that and we're gonna go back and forth. Trust me, there's a lot of ways you gain memory in this game, in this deck, that it's not gonna feel like a waste of turn. You're gonna take advantage of that opportunity. So we run that as a 2 of. And then we also run 2 Howling Memory Boost. Now Howling Memory Boost has a 3 play cost, and it says once you play it, you can go ahead and remove 2 Digi-Evolution sources from one of your opponent's Digimon, and then you may stun one of your opponent's Digimon that has no sources at all until the end of your opponent's turn. Yeah. Now, it also has delays. The turn after it's played, you can go ahead and send it to your drop to gain 2 memory. It helps with the stunning when you do need help with it. Most of the time you don't need too much help, but it is nice to have it there. So we're running it as a 2 of, and they're coming at 19 cents each right now. And as one of the most broken cards in the deck, we run Soray. Now, we run it at a 3 of, and it's coming in at 15 cents each right now. It's a 4 play cost option card that says you can remove 4 Digi-Evolution sources from one of your opponent's Digimon, and then for your opponent's next turn, they cannot attack with any Digimon that has no Digi-Evolution sources. So essentially, like, if your opponent tries to rookie rush you, this is like #1 kryptonite to them. It's amazing. Like, they cannot do anything to you, and yeah, they can digivolve on top of their rookies, so they can go ahead and start swinging and stuff. But trust, it's yeah, it's pretty bad. Like, yeah, we run that as a 3 of. There's been some times that I wanted to bump this up to 4 because it's such a good card. For our last option card, we run 4 full play set of Blazing Memory Boosts. This card is a 5 cost option card that has delay, and also it says once you play it, you may reveal the top 6 cards of your deck. You may add 2 cards with Blueflare and its traits to your hand. And on top of that, if you do not have the Tamer Kyria already in play, if one of the cards you revealed is Kyria, you may play it on play for free. It's, yeah, you heard that. Play 1 card plus 2. Not all the time, but maximum plus 2. Super ridiculous card. And this card is just, yeah, it's insane. There's been a good handful of times where I played it, got my Kyria, cool, got 2 more cards out of it, awesome. It's pretty ridiculous. It's a 5 play cost. It gives you all that. On top of that, your next turn, you're getting 2 memory back. So essentially, it feels like you just did it for 3 cards dump. Oh, on top of that, it's an option card that has Blueflare in its traits. So remember, if you reveal the top 6, You have Kyria in there, go ahead and play the Kyria. Let's say you're only 2 left over that were Blueflare, is Greymon and another Blazing Memory Boost. You can still grab that Blazing Memory Boost. It doesn't restrict you from grabbing itself, which is amazing. I'm not gonna lie, people. You're gonna feel like you're plussing so much when you get the full value off of this card. So we have to max it out as a 4-up, and they're 25 cents each too. So what's not to like about this card? It's just amazing. And so that's it for our option cards. But for our tamers, we're gonna go ahead and run 3 Sora and Joe, and they're gonna come in for $2 each right now. And it's a 4-cost tamer that says at the start of your turn, if your opponent has a Digimon with no de-evolution sources, you gain 2 memory. And then on top of that, when one of your blue Digimon attacks, you can suspend this tamer to remove 2 Digi-evolution sources from one of your opponent's Digimon. So one thing that helps with the stunning, as you guys can see, is by removing your opponent's de-evolution sources from their Digimon. This helps a lot with that. On top of that, you gain memory for whenever you stun one of your opponent's Digimon, then Digivolve on top of it on their turn, and when it comes back to you, you literally gain memory from it, which is very nice. There's been so many games where I have like at least one of these cards in play. Sometimes I have legit 2, and rarely I have 3, but a good handful of times I have had 2 copies of this, and I'll just start my turn at 7 memory like nothing. It's very awesome. It feels like you have so much memory that you're like, I don't know what to do with it sometimes. But once you start getting the hang of deck, you start learning how to play very optimally, and then also just knowing how to use that memory very efficiently, where you can still choke your opponent at 1 or 2. So it's a very very good tamer for this deck. So we run it at 3. So for our last card, we're gonna be running Kyria. Kyria is a 4 play cost tamer that sets your memory to 3 at the start of your turn if it's less than 3. And then he also has a skill that you may suspend him to use Digimon underneath him for one of your Digimon's Digi-crossing on play effects. So it's very good. It's essential to the deck. He has Blueflare in his traits, so you can still grab him. You can play him for free. Majority of times, I kid you not, 90% of the time, you are not playing this dude for his cost. You're playing him for free. So it's amazing in this deck. That brings us to the total of the deck at $40.99, which is pretty cheap, less than $50. I actually went to my locals with this deck, and I did fairly okay. I believe it was like 18 people at the locals, if I remember. I ended up going against Bloomlord round 1. We ended up tying, and then I ended up going to round 2. Went against Jessmon. I 2-0'd him, and then I ended up going against Commandramon the next game, which was amazing for me. I'm not gonna lie, ladies and gentlemen. I just slapped down Decadramon so many times where I drew 6, 7. There's a time I could have done for 8 cards, but I didn't want to be too greedy. I literally had everything I wanted in my hand, so so I was fine there. And yeah, literally one of those games was really awesome though, because as soon as he started flooding his board, I had like a 3-turn clock or I was gonna lose. So one turn I soul raid, next turn I soul raid, the next turn after that I ice walled him, and after that turn I ended up winning. So it's crazy that you can run these option cards for 4 memory and still progress so much in your board state, which is very awesome, because he literally had an army of Commandramon, at least like 7 to 8 ready to swing at my face. But they couldn't. On the turn that I ice walled, he only was able to swing in for like 2 to 3 times, and I was still at 5 security or 4 security, so I was safe. And yeah, that was a bad matchup for him. And then for my last match, I ended up going against Melga, which is it's a doable matchup. It is a little bit harder, don't get me wrong, but it was doable. He ended up beating me 2-1. Yeah, once you clear Blueflare security, the second thing is that you can't really stop any of your opponent's Digimon coming out from raising that's going to swing at you. You only can deal with a Digimon on board. So yeah, once he did that and he already had Digimon in raising, it was basically game, because this deck doesn't run any blockers. But what I do recommend after playing the deck in the tournament, I only lost once with this deck, which is nice. I do recommend running Canondramon. It's a very cheap and affordable option. He's only at 3 cents right now, and if I was you, I'd probably run him as a two of taking away a Decker Greymon and a Howling Memory Boost. Just because for the fact that Canondramon is a blocker that's a level 6 for 4 evolution costs onto a blue or black Digimon. And then he has a when Digivolving unsuspend this Digimon, and he also has our opponent's turn once per turn. When this Digimon deletes one of your opponent's Digimon by battle, you can go ahead and unsuspend this Digimon. And he's a 12 DP Digimon, so it's a very good card. And just having the blocker would be really nice in my matchups against the Melga matchup. At least it would have been very nice. And just having a Digimon that actually can get up to a little bit of higher DP, like to 12, it actually makes a difference. So I'll definitely run it as a 2 for that'd be like my recommendation for you guys in this deck. And then plus if you pick up 2, that will just set you back 6 cents. So the deck becomes $40 or $41.05. It's not too bad at all. For upgrades for this deck, I would put in the ST1 Structure Deck 1 Greymon that has an inherit skill to give you +1 security attack. Yeah, that boosts up this deck a lot. It makes it it bumps up the aggression by by like double. It's pretty crazy. It's a very good card. You just need like 2 of it too, though. You don't even need a full playset, which is nice. And then Kakaida's Breath can help this deck out too. Kind of a little bit of a pricey card, so I'll probably run it as like a 2 of if anything, because in this deck you have a lot of stunning, but you don't have that much removal. That's why I run the Starling Thunders. I would probably take those out for the Kakai's Breath and start messing around with the level 3 lineup to take out the Jellymons. But that's why I have those there, because a memory blocker against this deck would hurt it a lot. On top of that, if your opponent's playing the level 3s that say you cannot reduce a Digimon's play cost, that also hurt this deck by a truckload, because your main attacker is metalgreymon, and the reason why he's that is because not what he gains when he gets onto play, but also because he's only for 3 memory essentially to play him. So if your opponent stops that and you have to pay 7, don't get me wrong, there can be like a turn where you can pay 7 and still get away with it, but it'll feel better if you can get to 7 memory and play 2 of these guys in one turn instead of 1. So yeah, the Kakai's Breath is nice. For any bigger Digimon too, it can be really awesome removal, just because there is Digimon out there that are bigger than yours. The highest DP you get to is probably like 11 max, but with metalgreymon it's like 9 max. And yeah, if your opponent has anything bigger, that if they have any like effects like Bloom Lordmon, like Cherrymon can redirect it to like a Hydramon, the attack. Hydramon's 13k DP. That's yeah, you're gonna run into a wall. Yeah, so you're gonna have to find ways to handle that. So that's this is one way. Kakai's Breath is one way to make sure you can get away with that, because you can just bump up all your memory, get rid of it, call it a day. And another card that I actually seen a couple lists run, but it is an expensive card, and I really don't want to recommend this card too much, just because I don't feel like it's essential to make a deck to like a higher tier sometimes, but it is a very strong card, and I'm not going to deny that fact. Is Death Exmon. I've seen people run it as like a 1 or 2 of in this deck, and just for the fact that you don't have removal, like you really don't. You don't have that much removal, and yeah, it kind of sucks. But Death Exmon is an option, but I'll say it's your last option. I think you can do very well with this deck with just the other upgrades I recommended, and on top of that, yeah, this deck is very competitive. It's going to be viable when BT11 comes out, and it's a very good beginner deck, and you can do great at locals with it. I only lost once, tied once, won twice, and and lost once, and it was against Melga too. It wasn't just like any floppy deck. Like it wasn't against like anything like Myotismon or something like that, or like a Dan Devi deck. Like trust me, like it was Melga, which is like the best deck right now until BT11 cards come out. So yeah, and I lost 2-1. I didn't get 2-0'd. Yeah, you just need to spend time with the deck, learn how to pilot it, and you do very well. But if you guys like my content, please like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications so you know my videos go live for you. And till I see you next time, peace.